In this new episode, I'll talk about Halicarnassus, the Deltascape one, not this one. Let's forget about it. I will start by answering a question some might ask, why Halicarnassus was a man in FF5 but became a woman in the 14th. For two rather simple reasons. Halicarnassus was already quite androgynous with the scary design in the 5th, and he disguised himself as a woman, pretending to have been locked down in a cell by catastrophe, and thanked you with a kiss that is revealed to be a binding spell to a throne a bit farther in the castle. The mind-jacking abilities are probably reminiscent of that. Square Enix may have decided to take a final step by fusing the gender of the disguise with Halicarnassus itself in FF14. On the matter of fusing or mixing, Halicarnassus is the Deltascape boss with the most features coming from outside of his FF5 actual encounter. Firstly, the frog status is almost identical, as he used it right off the bat at the beginning of the fight in the 5th, and would randomly cast it again during the battle. In the 14th, the frog status is regularly recast and is even mandatory for a mechanic when the panels on the ground show a frog face. Halicarnassus in the 14th truly deserves her title of the Dimensional Castle's Queen, in that she has an AoE called Dimensional Wave, and changed the arena at different times of the battle, summoning floors and even monsters from the last dungeon of Final Fantasy V called the Dimensional Rift. Starting with a rocky floor that doesn't seem impressive at first, it was the 4th floor of the rift that made us travel through cliffs and caves, the rocks sharing the same colors. The reason why this is the first floor you see is obvious. It was on this floor that you could encounter Omega in FF5. Square Enix strikes again. I also have to point out a little difference between the two versions of the Great Dragon. The one in FF5 didn't have wings. Alright, we don't care. Next, that desert part that was the very first part of the rift and kept that feature of sand surfing to get out of here. Halicarnassus himself didn't have a crazy amount of abilities. Square Enix probably decided to give to his 14th counterpart the Mystic Knight Spellblade skillset from the 5th, that infused its weapons with an offensive magic spell to exploit foes' weaknesses, with the 3 black magic elements, fire, ice, and thunder. Holy was already used by Halicarnassus back in FF5, so outside of the Spellblade part of the name, it's not different in FF14. Right, now let's cover the Savage part. Halicarnassus loses the desert stage but wins 2 new areas, several adds and the last 3 abilities from her FF5 version. The first of these 2 areas is the forest floor, at the end of which you fought a boss that I'll cover another day. The add from FF5 that appears is the White Flame, that had already the White Wind spell that heals all its allies for the current amount of HP of the caster. However, the FF14 version has a range limit and is a lot more hard-hitting for the tank that deals with it. The second floor, exclusive to the Savage mode, is a library that is strangely the smallest in FF5, hosting a modest room and a boss that comes back as an add, a panda. You can also meet it in the Google Library hard mode as a somewhat mid-boss. Why was it chosen? Surely for the following reason. There were only 2 books you could read, and one of them talked about, guess what, Omega and Shinryu. We have therefore come full circle. One last change to the floor is a random mix of the tiles you meet throughout the encounter. It's in this phase that you meet the last 2 monsters brought from the 5th. The Iron Giant that we could meet only in the room after we fought Halicarnassus. It was the best EXP source in the original FF5 and the PlayStation remake. And ninjas. Nothing noteworthy to say, they're frigging ninjas. Before the last, let's talk about the 3 abilities she gets back to complete her FF5's transition. Critical Strike, that is a simple tongue buster in the 14th. Reverse Polarity, that was used to swap the rows of your heroes in the 5th, and swap the position of 2 tethered players in the 14th. Last but not least, Haste, that was used to act faster. Its duration is quite toned down in the 14th and she then uses it before casting her Spellblade skills to leave you with less time to react. Finally, I'll quickly cover the two negative status Halicarnassus 14 uses but didn't exist in the 5th. Pig, that is inflicted when not stacking with your friends when she casts Oink, was exclusive to Final Fantasy IV. And Kappa, if we look at her when she casts Squelch, that only appeared in FF6. And done. Thanks for watching. The next video will be about the last boss of the Deltascape and above all, the final boss of the original Final Fantasy V, X-Death. Take care and have fun!